Tuesday, heat advisory has been extended for a couple inland spots, kind of Livermore Valley out towards Concord, San Ramon. But the rest of us, the majority of us, outside the heat advisories, heat warnings, it's still going to be warm, mid-90s inland, but not as hot as it's been. And the temperature trend is for cooling. The big story, hands down, for the next, I think potentially the next week or two, even though there's an election coming that's huge, is going to be Milton. And you're like, well, why is it such a big deal? It's a huge deal because, number one, where it's slated to hit, it's hitting probably one of the most, probably Tampa Bay is the most vulnerable place in the world for a hurricane because of low-lying, because of the way the bay opens up, because of the population center. It's not like there's a lot of topography in this area other than, low-lying marshlands and things like that, and homes and estuaries and things like that. So that's the main reason, because I think it's going to impact so many people. This hurricane is going to stay a hurricane as it crosses Florida. So it's going to come out into the Atlantic as probably a Category 2 hurricane or even a Category 1. Don't be fooled by the numbers. Category 5, which it was, with winds up to 180 miles an hour, the thing exploded because the sea surface temperatures are so warm. Those numbers are going to move around. And the numbers are going to, as it moves into cooler water, closer to the coast, the category will drop from a 3 to a 2. But here's the thing, as the category drops, the storm is going to get bigger. It's going to get aerially, just the distribution of the storm is going to fill basically almost the entire west coast or east coast, west coast, pardon me, of Florida. So you've got the most damaging thing you can have in a hurricane, in almost any weather event, is water, so storm surge. And number two, you're going to have rainfall, big rainfall. So the potential for the storm surge to move into Tampa Bay, create these high water areas in populated areas is really there. There's so much to say, but I know a lot of folks are like, well, why is this such a big deal? Helene went through, that was a big deal too. But remember, Helene became about storm surge and water as well with the rainfall and the problems in the Carolinas. So this is a really touchy situation that is going to be in the news for a long time. So here is the story, the hurricane warning. You can see right here, right? So that's Tampa down to down this area, and it turns into a tropical storm warning here. Sorry for the bad graphics, but you get the feel, you get the vibe. Look at the length of coastline. Tampa Bay, dead center, low-lying. One of the things I wanted to mention, and I've never really heard this articulated before, but I know it's true. As you look at the sea surface temperatures, oh, by the way, you need 79 degree water to get a hurricane to form. As the water gets warmer and warmer and warmer, the hurricane has the ability to intensify. I wonder why it's intensifying. Sea surface temperatures are very high in this region. They cool off a little closer to the coastline, potentially the reason that the hurricane will drop categories. But the thing with Tampa Bay is it's a bay, right? And this is the storm surge. Do you remember, maybe you don't remember this, but back many years ago now, we had that hurricane or that tsunami that came in they get into the Golden Gate Bridge and they caused problems in Tiburon and the marina. The main impact was Santa Cruz Harbor. Remember that? And if you've ever seen any harbor, there are little openings to the ocean and the ships or the boats can go out. Well, Santa Cruz, when that tsunami came in, the wave refracted around the point, came in and just surged maybe a couple feet higher than normal. But when it got into that confined area of the harbor, it came up, right? It came up instead of a couple feet. I can't remember the exact numbers on it. It came up a lot, and boats were broken. It was a big mess in Santa Cruz Harbor, if you can remember. You can Google that if you want. And there's some awesome video of it. But Tampa Bay is that on a large scale. It's an opening to the ocean with the potential of 10, 12 foot of storm surge, maybe more, coming in and working its way up into these little drainages. So if you get 10 feet, 15 feet, as is suggested here, of storm surge, you are going to have unprecedented issues in that area. What else do I want to talk about? So it is historic for that. It's about, hurricanes are about water and rain, right? Just like Helene was about the rainfall and the storm surge. This is going to be about storm surge and rainfall. The winds are dramatic. The reporters out there getting blown around, that's dramatic. Trees down, that's dramatic. But when all's said and done, it's about the storm surge and the rain. And you saw what happened, think about what happened in the Carolinas with unfortunately all those people who lost their lives. And this is water. This is, you know, a flooding event. So it's going to come on shore as a Cat 3 or 4. I think I mentioned this, Tampa Bay, the most vulnerable area probably in the world for this type of behavior. This is probably the worst case scenario for a hurricane coming on shore in the United States. So we'll watch it closely. We'll see how it breaks down. It doesn't mean it's all going to happen, but there's no way this thing misses Florida, and there's no way there's not going to be problems. And there's no way this isn't the biggest story for the next 2 weeks. So that's why we're talking about it. Okay, so today it's going to be warm. The heat advisory has been extended, as I mentioned. We are looking forward to cooler days ahead. These are the forecast highs for today. By the time you get to these, which I kind of notice these videos, a lot of people watch them kind of in the evening. Thank you, by the way. I really appreciate you guys watching. And I also appreciate, now here I go, but I really appreciate those of you who reach out and say, I really enjoy these. And I know I don't need positive accolades, or I don't need pats on the back or anything, because this is what I do anyway. So it's like, yeah, but it encourages me, because I want to be, literally what I want here is to be helpful. And I'll pull up another map. And now I'm starting to talk from the heart, which is always scary. No, I always talk from the heart. But one of the things when I was I went to Berkeley undergraduate, and one of the things I remember in my physics classes and whatever, I remember the texture of science and learning back in those days, especially in physics, calculus, and all these more difficult, rigorous courses. Back then was a little bit, I know something you don't know. And we would hold that, not me, I hope, but we would hold that information, and then we'd piece it out to you like, oh, you could never understand this, right? Physics, especially. Physics is the most beautiful science on the planet Earth. It's so awesome. I love physics. I still play with equations sometimes just to see, oh, that does work. You know, Newton's laws of motion. But what I was going to say is, I remember thinking, because I wasn't a genius, it's a good student. I was just, I worked hard. And what I remember thinking, if I ever learn this stuff, I'm going to make it as easy and bite-sized as I can. And so I don't want to impress you with what I know, and I'm sure I don't, but that's my point. I don't want to impress you. I want you to go, oh, so that's what that means. Air rises, it cools, air sinks, it warms. I mean, I can make that a lot scarier. Get into the environmental lapse rate, the adiabatic lapse rate, the dry adiabat. I mean, we can do that, or we can just say what we know. So that's why I do these. So I do appreciate you reaching out, and I appreciate you subscribing. And I'd like to be able to do these and reach as many people as I can. And so if you have questions, I'll try to answer them too. Okay, so enough of that. This is the Saturday chance of rain. It's optimistic. I don't think it'll look even close to that, but it'd be awesome if we got a little bit, and I think we could see a little bit of rain. Okay, so that's the 5-day forecast. We're going to come in here. We're going to pull up the hurricane one more time, and you can see it here, and you can see the eye wall very defined. That's always an indication, by the way, that, and I can put a loop on it too, that's always an indication that the storm is intensifying. But look at the copious amounts of moisture available to this storm, right? That is taking up a large, look at that. I mean, if you count that cloud shield, this is almost half of the Gulf of California or Mexico. That's a lot of moisture, and that's what we're most concerned about. And now for us, we've got a beautiful day along the coast. There's a little fog showing up in Monterey Bay, which means by tonight, I suspect this fog will merge up and be in the bay, and that'll provide us with further cooling because of the low pressure that's going to trigger the cooling. I wanted to point this out. I know this seems like numbers but Santa Rosa, these are airport identifiers. Santa Rosa, 69 degrees. That's 12 degrees cooler than it was yesterday at that time. So by the time you get this, it'll be. But the point is, Concord, 4 degrees cooler. Livermore, 2 degrees, so 10 degrees cooler in Oakland, so coastal cooling, 8 degrees cooler at SFO. So it verifies that we are cooling down, and that's what we're going for. This is the sunrise this morning. The fog not here. I'm going to show you this to you tomorrow morning, and you'll see the fog coming up the coast around Mount Terra Point. Beautiful, beautiful day in the Marin Headlands. Oh my gosh. Look where you live. We're so lucky. I know it's expensive to live here, but California, and every once in a while, Every once in a while, somebody says, or they move from Cal. Oh, I gotta get out of there. I can't stand that place. It's too much this, too much that. They didn't belong here anyway. There, I said it. California is your ancestors, my ancestors, or even your family. They came out of their adventurers, they're innovators, they're creative thinkers. You just look at how it's gone between music, science, all the things that go on in California and have gone on in California. It's a magical place, and let them leave. Promise, it's never going to be a problem for California. This climate is unreal. You're looking out at Mount Diablo in the East Bay. Air quality looks pretty good. This is from Sutro Tower. So, and then this is the vorticity model, 500 millibar vorticity. And I show it to you because it's the most colorful and it's easiest to pick out because really there's the jet stream. You see that, right? You see those kind of loops. So when I roll it forward, you can see here we go today, kind of mild. Then you see this area dropping down. This is going to be that event on Friday night, Saturday, which would be, maybe some sprinkles. And you see the vorticity, the instability going to the north of California. We will probably see a little drizzle. We most certainly will see cooling and maybe a few showers in Del Norte County. So right now, this model run, there'll be a new model run in a few hours. This model run showing probably not rain, but then watch this. As we go further down the way, see that area offshore? And look at that lobe come in. That is the 15th of October, of October 15th. So that's Tuesday. That's rain. Does that happen? I don't know, but that's rain. Interesting. We'll see. We'll see how it goes. Take a look at the coast because there's no fog. San Francisco's Ocean Beach swell has come up a few clicks. Not a great day. The winds are sort of side shore, kind of thumpy. Tide's a little goofy. I mean, when I say not a great, it's an awesome day. But I was thinking about for surf. And then here's Ocean Beach again. Love this place. I basically lived out here. I did live out there in my van. And I lived at the surf shop on Vicinity Street. And then I went looking for fog. This is down around Carlsbad. La Jolla? No, Carlsbad. And this is the fog. So Southern California, they've had a really dose of pea soup. It's been really foggy down there for a while. Okay, so that's it. Milton's a big story, and it will be a big story. The reason they're telling people to get that H out now is because this thing by tomorrow morning is knocking at the door, and it's going to be too late. You got to leave now if you're in this area. And I know, like Mike Meebach's brother-in-law, or brother, I think brother lives out in that Tampa Bay area, so close to it, and they bailed out a day and a half ago. Okay, a 5-day forecast one more time. Hope you're having a great day, and we'll see you back here tomorrow.